Hi, I'm Jennifer Chen, and this is the story of how I learned that sometimes life's greatest opportunities come disguised as rock-bottom moments. 3 years ago, I was exactly where my parents wanted me to be, a senior financial analyst at a prestigious firm, living up to the Chen family's reputation for excellence. But fate had other plans, ones that would teach me more about success, family, and self-worth than any corporate job ever could. The Chen name meant something in Singapore's business circles. My father, Michael Chen, had built Chen Global Investments from nothing, turning it into a $200 million investment firm through sheer determination and ruthless business acumen. My younger sister, Victoria, was following perfectly in his footsteps, excelling at Harvard Business School while I handled the family's reputation in Singapore. Jennifer, appearances are everything, Mom would remind me constantly, straightening my designer blazer or critiquing my choice of restaurants. We're Chens. We have standards to maintain. Those standards became a noose around my neck the day everything changed. I still remember sitting in that sterile conference room, watching my whole career implode because I refused to falsify reports for a corrupt client. My boss's words still echo in my head. You're either a team player, Jennifer, or you're nothing. Pack your things. I thought my parents would understand, maybe even be proud that I'd chosen ethics over profit. I was wrong. You did what? Dad's voice could have frozen hell that night. We were sitting in his mahogany-paneled home office, the Singapore skyline twinkling beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Do you have any idea what this will do to our reputation? Mom paced behind his desk, her Louboutins clicking against the hardwood floor. All the best families send their children to work there. Now everyone will be talking about how Michael Chen's daughter couldn't cut it. I didn't fail, I tried to explain. They wanted me to commit fraud. Then you should have been smarter about it. Dad slammed his fist on the desk, found a legal way around it. That's what I taught you, what your sister understands. Speaking of which, he picked up his phone, checking messages. Victoria just got accepted into an exclusive MBA study group. At least one of my daughters understands what it takes to succeed. The comparison stung, but I held my ground. I won't compromise my principles, Dad, not even for the family name. His laugh was bitter. Principles? Try paying your bills with principles, Jennifer. You have two choices. Either I call Robert at Morgan Stanley and get you a new position, or you figure this out yourself. But if you choose the second option, don't expect any help from us. I stood up, my legs shaking but my voice steady. Then I choose option 2. Mom gasped. Jennifer, don't be foolish. Think about your future. I am thinking about my future, Mom. Just not the one you planned for me. I walked out of that office knowing I'd just burned bridges I might never rebuild. But I had no idea how hard things would get. The next 6 months were a lesson in humility. My savings dwindled as I searched for work. My pristine resume became a liability. Everyone in Singapore's financial sector had heard about my ethical stance, and doors closed before I could even knock. My designer wardrobe went first, sold piece by piece to pay rent. Then my luxury apartment. Finally, my pride. That's how I found myself in the lobby of Eclipse Towers at 11 p.m., wearing a cleaner's uniform and pushing a cart of supplies. The cleaning job wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and the night shift paid extra. Plus, the building's 200 floors of offices meant job security. Someone always needed something cleaned. You'll start on the executive floors. Mrs. Wong, the cleaning supervisor, instructed on my first night. Most important client, Marcus Shaw's office. Private elevator, whole top floor. Everything must be perfect. I nodded, trying to remember if I'd heard the name before. Mrs. Wang continued. He's never there at night, but his office must be spotless. Understanding the value of unseen work, that's what separates the good cleaners from the great ones. Those words would prove prophetic, though I didn't know it then. For 3 months, I cleaned that office every night, taking pride in details no one would notice. Dusting the rare books in his library, arranging the fresh orchids precisely, ensuring his desk was immaculate. Sometimes I'd pause by the windows, looking out at the city I'd once viewed from my own office, wondering if I'd made the right choice. Then came the night that changed everything. I was polishing Marcus Shaw's desk when I noticed something odd. A stack of documents about Chen Global Investments, my father's company. My hands trembled as I read the top page. Proposed hostile takeover. Chen Global Investments. The documents detailed years of my father's questionable dealings, leveraged investments that were about to implode, and a carefully orchestrated plan to acquire the company for pennies on the dollar. My family was about to lose everything, and they didn't even know it. I should have walked away. After all, they disowned me, made it clear I was no longer part of the family. But something made me take out my phone and start documenting everything. For the next week, I spent every night analyzing those documents, using my financial background to understand the complex web of transactions. I created detailed notes, found patterns, and identified weaknesses in the takeover plan. I didn't know what I'd do with this information, but I knew I had to do something. Then came my sister's graduation party. Victoria had finished her MBA with honors, and my parents were throwing an extravagant celebration at the Ritz-Carlton. I wasn't invited, of course, but I knew about it because I'd overheard the cleaning staff discussing the event. I decided to go anyway, wearing the only decent outfit I had left. The security guard at the entrance took one look at me and started to block my way. "She's the help," my mother's voice cut in. She'd been greeting guests nearby. "Jennifer, the service entrance is around back. If you must be here, at least don't embarrass us further." I swallowed my pride and walked around to the service entrance. In the kitchen, I could hear the celebrations through the walls. My father's proud speech about Victoria's achievements, the applause, the clinking of champagne glasses. Then a familiar face appeared in the kitchen. "Mrs. Wang." "Jennifer, what are you doing here?" "Mrs. Wang, I didn't know you handled events too." She smiled kindly. "There's a lot you don't know about me, dear, just like there's a lot they don't know about you." Before I could ask what she meant, another figure entered the kitchen. Tall, distinguished, with gray temples and piercing eyes. I recognized him immediately from the photos in his office. Marcus Shaw. He looked straight at me and smiled. "Hello, Jennifer. I believe we need to talk about those documents you've been studying in my office." My heart stopped. I'd been caught. But what happened next would rewrite my family's entire story. The kitchen of the Ritz-Carlton fell silent. Mrs. Wang, who I now realized must be more than just a cleaning supervisor, quietly ushered the kitchen staff out, leaving me alone with Marcus Shaw. "I'm sorry," I began, my voice trembling. "I know I shouldn't have." He held up a hand, his expression unreadable. 3 months ago, I installed hidden cameras in my office after sensitive documents went missing. Want to know what I saw? My heart sank. This was it. I'd be fired, possibly arrested. Instead, his next words shocked me. I saw someone who spent extra hours analyzing complex financial documents. Someone who caught details my own team missed. Someone who, despite having every reason to want revenge, tried to save her family's company. He smiled. The question is, why? The truth spilled out before I could stop it. Because they're still my family, even if they don't see me that way anymore. Marcus nodded thoughtfully, then pulled an envelope from his jacket. Mrs. Wang, or as I know her, our head of human intelligence, has been watching you for months. Your night shift wasn't an accident, Jennifer. It was a test. My mind reeled. A test? I've spent 2 years looking for someone to lead our new Asian division. Someone with both financial expertise and integrity. Someone who understands that true leadership isn't about power or status. It's about doing what's right, even when it costs you everything. He handed me the envelope. Inside, you'll find 2 things. First, proof that I've quietly been buying Chen Global shares through shell companies. As of this morning, I own 51%. Second, a contract making you CEO of both Chen Global and our new Asian division, with authority to implement any changes you see fit. I stared at him, speechless. He continued, Your father's company is indeed in trouble, but not beyond saving, with the right leadership. The question is, what will you do with this power? Before I could answer, the kitchen door burst open. Victoria stood there, champagne glass in hand, her Harvard smile freezing as she saw me. What are you doing here? She hissed. Mom said you were just here to clean. She stopped, recognizing Marcus. Mr. Shaw, I didn't know you'd arrived. Please come join us. Don't let my sister bother you. Marcus's smile was polite but cold. Actually, I'm here to discuss business with your sister. Would you mind asking your parents to join us? Privately. The next few minutes were a blur. Soon we were in a private dining room. My parents, Victoria, Marcus, and me. Dad looked uncomfortable, Mom embarrassed, and Victoria confused. What's this about? Dad demanded, his eyes darting between Marcus and me. Marcus gestured for me to speak. Taking a deep breath, I opened the envelope and laid out the documents. Chen Global is 3 months away from collapse. I began, my voice stronger than I expected. The Liu investment was a trap. The Singapore Heights project is hemorrhaging money. And the Malaysian deal was a front for money laundering. Dad's face went pale. How did you? Because while you were busy being ashamed of me, I was watching your company implode from the outside. But here's the thing, I found a way to save it. I explained everything, the fraudulent clients I'd refused to help, how they were connected to the current crisis, and most importantly, how we could fix it. Mr. Shaw, my father finally said, his voice hoarse, why are you involved in this? Marcus stood. Because your daughter impressed me. Not the one with the Harvard degree. The one with the courage to choose integrity over status. That's why, as majority shareholder, I'm appointing Jennifer as CEO of Chen Global, effective immediately. The room exploded. Victoria dropped her glass. Mom started crying. Dad just sat there, stunned. You can't do this. Victoria shouted, I'm the one with the qualifications. I'm the one who. Who what? I cut in. Who followed the path of least resistance? Who never questioned whether success at any cost was worth it? I turned to my parents. You taught us that the Chen name means something. But somewhere along the way, you forgot what it should mean. I laid out my plans for the company. Transparent accounting, ethical investment strategies, a complete restructuring of the corrupt departments. We can be profitable without being predatory, successful without being soulless. Dad listened silently, then finally spoke. And if we oppose this? Marcus answered, Then the evidence of financial misconduct goes to the authorities. Your choice. The next hour was tense with negotiations, tears, and finally, acceptance. By midnight, I was officially CEO of Chen Global Investments. As we left the hotel, Marcus turned to me. You could have taken revenge. Why didn't you? I watched my family leaving through the main entrance, their world forever changed. Because sometimes the best revenge is showing people a better way. The next year was challenging, but transformative. Under my leadership, Chen Global not only survived, but thrived. We became known for ethical investment practices while maintaining strong profits. Victoria eventually joined the legal compliance team, where her attention to detail proved invaluable. Mom stopped talking about appearances and started asking about impact. And Dad finally told me he was proud. Not of our profits, but of our principles. Mrs. Wang, now my chief of operations, still teases me about my time as a cleaner. Sometimes, she says, you have to clean up the mess to see what's worth saving. Last week, I found my old cleaner's uniform while moving offices. I framed it and hung it in my new executive suite. It reminds me that success isn't about status or family names. It's about staying true to yourself, even when you're standing alone. Because sometimes, rock bottom is just the foundation for something better. Today, Chen Global is valued at $500 million, but our true worth isn't in our market value, it's in our integrity. Every morning, I walk past the cleaning staff and remember where this journey began. Some of them are part of our new employee education program, studying finance and business while working. After all, you never know which cleaner might turn out to be your next CEO.